Hey everyone, Luke here, and we are back after 2 weeks and after a lot of chapter breaks from not just Dr. Stone but from Sheldon Jump in general. We are finally back, finally going to get back on a real schedule, week in, week out. My 2 week break was alright, not the best 2 week break, but it had its high points, but the vacation itself away, not one of the best. That's a discussion for another day. But all I can say is that if you ever come, if anyone visits England, don't go to the place that we went to. I'm not going to say its name out of just out of sheer I do not want to think about that place anymore. But we're back. We're going to be talking about something exciting today, so let's just get right into the chapter. Alright, so this will be chapter 207, titled Linking the Circuit Diagram. Kind of a mouthful there, but whatever. And obviously that title has a double meaning, which we'll get into when we get into the moment in the chapter, because this chapter has a lot of character development for Sai and Ryusui. Obviously the link there, linking their connection together. But anyway, the chapter opens up with Senku obviously making a few of the donuts that are going to be made for the computer itself, to make the panagram computer, and he goes, You'll be baking up a mountain of computers. You'll be baking up a mountain of donuts to build a computer from scratch. As Gary might say, yeah, you mean metal donuts, because when he says baking, obviously the first thing you're going to come to mind is the donuts that you can actually eat. So obviously Gen has to pull him down a peg and be like, okay, yeah, you mean metal donuts, so you're gonna be crafting donuts. That's what you should be saying, Senku. But anyway, they go on to say that you've got to throw the whole corn seed labour force at it, and it'll take plenty of teamwork, and you've got to be patient about this. As we see the corn seed team already at work making the 200,000 that Senku has required them to actually do. Before we cut over to Sai and his amazing thousand arms just working at this. Just working out this other circuit, and he's saying now we can combine a whole bunch of it, and ooh, as we get the title page, and we see just how insanely crafted the added circuit is actually at this point. And yeah, that's pretty insane that they've actually done that. But it's the Kingdom of Science, so we can believe that they would actually do something about that. And of course, Chelsea is getting excited by this by saying, like freaky octopi. So basically, she's akin it to an octopus, basically. But of course, Chrome is going bad, and yeah, computers are probably the baddest of bad things that Chrome has ever said bad to. That was a lot of bad that I said in there. But yeah, Ryusui is obviously getting excited about this, because he's saying, now let's pump out Dragon Quest. Impossible, you say? Then how about a simple game like chess? Which makes sense, considering that in India, and chess was discovered in India, so it's only natural that chess would be the game to be brought up here. Kind of fun fact there for you guys that don't, in case you guys didn't know, that chess was originally invented in India, so it does make sense that it would be brought up here as a potential game, as a potential simple game that they would actually be playing. And of course, Kaku being Kaku, boys are way too hyped. Like, she's always been like that with whenever they get excited over a new crafting invention. It's just like at the beginning of the series, she was like, that just rocks. And when the tank was created, it's like, I don't understand why you're getting excited about all of this. So yeah, that is Kaku in a nutshell. And Sai's like, yeah, we can add up to 255 now. Yeah, but you're going to have to add up to a lot more. A lot more, because Senku is going to bring up that it's only a level 1 computer and you need a level 99 computer. So you need a little bit more than just 255, Sai. But anyway, we cut over to Sai in a hut, in India that they've built off screen. As he's saying, the circuit diagram shows how to link it all together, and he's like got this big diagram, like of just like these really complicated math equations, or just really complicated programming equations, and he's like showing it to like together without ever realizing just how this all goes up against head most of the time. It's like, yeah, so this all connects everything together, and he's like, and Gen's like, yeah, except I am completely lost here. Before we get Kosuke going, that is one complex schematic. How are we going to get it to the folks in Corn City? Morse code isn't going to cut it for this one. And yeah, Kosuke does bring up a good point. And this leads into something that I have been saying that should happen, and that will probably is going to happen eventually when we get to the point where they're actually going to go to space. Chelsea brings up that if only they could send over an actual picture, that would be easy peasy. As we cut over to Dr. Sinu, who looks as though he's doing Morse code doing Morse code in sort of like an evil chair. Like, Dr. Sinu, how could you be? You couldn't be more evil if you even tried at this point. Like, it's just there, like in an evil chair. Now all he needs is just a cat to stroke at this point. But it seems that he's using some sort of clicker on the side arm to sort of like speak to them in Morse code, or it might just be a microphone, like, because he has the headphones on, so it might just be like sort of like a miniature microphone that he's using in Morse code to actually send it over to them, or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, his most elegant solution is to have photos and schematics simply be sent online. So yeah, we're pretty much getting the internet. So we're one step closer to getting the internet. I call this, guys, like, I would be saying, like, one of the things, like, that would be relevant to getting communication to everyone would be the internet. Because people have been saying, like, even though they're going to be reviving billions of people, we're not going to be seeing every single one of those billions of people. So best solution to actually get everyone in one place, the internet. So yeah, we're going to be getting the internet at some point, guys, because Zeno has said it. They're going to be sending the photos and schematics online, so be prepared for that. But anyway, Gen goes, please not the human powered fax for a photograph. That's unthinkable. And yeah, that would probably be unthinkable for a human photograph, but luckily, they always have a solution, because they're the Kingdom of Science. They always have a solution for everything. As they go, no, we'll be using a proper fax this time. As we seek to link the world, the need for such things is an unavoidable truth, which is why I have sent instructions to North America with Taiju's group. So this is Sinu explaining to them how this is gonna actually work, because as he said that they've got to link the world together. So I guess we could call this the linking arc now, or because the people on the wiki aren't changing the name from the Europe arc to the linking arc to a different arc name. Because I said to them, hey, the joint connection arc, the linking arc, but they said no, we're gonna wait on. I think they're gonna actually wait until the arc's actually over before we actually get an official name for this arc, because it's just been all over the place at this point. We've been to Europe, now we're being in India, and pretty soon we're going to be setting off for a new place, as it'll be stated, and we've got to talk about that when we get to it. Sino goes on and says, tell me, Senku, do you also need a delightful crash course on how to construct a fax machine? And Senku's like, yeah, good one, just tell me what setup you're using, and I'll take it from there. So again, showing that Senku can't do everything, and he can't be in every place at once, so he kind of needs other people around him to kind of get all of this done. But Chelsea says, how about some Sufferite, which is what she used for her glowing kites. And Senku explains that board it down, coat some paper with it, and we've got printing paper ready for action. Okay, so Salvite is just what's used in printing paper. Never knew that. But anyway, he continues on saying the actual markings are burned in using electricity. Getting the machine to read it is a little trickier. It shines a light, sees if a spot is black or white, and converts that data into some funky electrical signal. Those signals turn into radio waves that fly around the world, and receiving the process and reversing the process reproduces our burns and prints the image. So yeah, pretty much standard of like the radio waves being the key to everything that's possible, not just in this world but in our world as well, because radio waves are so important. As they've been demonstrated time and time again, like even for phones as well, the basic connection is a radio wave. Like the phone I'm using now to do the reviews on the chapter, the basic connection is radio waves. That's all that's needed. So makes sense that the thing that they would be using to actually get the fax machine going is radio waves. Reese goes on to say that, haha, this means that the Corn City will do the heavy lifting for the computer crafting while we keep globe-trotting and founding cities. As Corker says, oh, time to ship out, great. We ought to move without a moment's delay. Fast and hard, that's your style, which is what Gen says. And I agree again. Okay, so this is what I was referring to, the fact that they're immediately leaving Map City to like go around and get out other cities. Now, whether this means that they're going to go to Rubber City or Aluminium City first, that remains to be seen. Personally, I don't see them doing that right away, because those arcs, I really want them to be like as long as Corn City arcs, or just stay a little bit more in those cities, in like Rubber City and Aluminium City, particularly Aluminium City, because that's the whole of Australia. So come on, there's going to be something in Australia that's going to like delay them, and this is something that Sean and Audrey actually brought up, like the cities are actually being rushed through, and it's kind of a bit of a problem. And I can see that, because you kind of like want to stay in these locations and kind of absorb all the culture as possible, but at the same time it's kind of a double-edged sword. You don't want to stay in too long, because as we know, they are on a time limit, because Y-Man is up there, so they are on a time limit, and they've got to be extra careful because Y-Man could attack at any moment. So it just makes sense that they've got to keep moving along. And plus as well, Sean and Oji brought up in one of his videos, in his fill-ins video, that if there weren't any conflicts in Corn City or South America, Senku would just rush in and get what he needed, or in Treasure Island, Senku would just rush in and get what he needed. The main thing that why those arcs were so long is because they had the conflicts with Ibarra and Dr. Sinu. That's what took them so long. And I'm gonna take my watch off. That's what. Just go with that. That's what took them so long. The fact that they had a villain to deal with, and at this point they've had no villain to deal with when actually building up Math City. So that kind of makes sense why they've just why this arc has gone. This building of the city has gone on as short as it possibly can. Although that might actually change. Next chapter we might actually get the villain of this arc actually coming up, and it might actually lead to them not actually leaving right away. This might just be a falsehood on their part, and we might actually get the villain next chapter of this arc, which, well, I'll go into my theories about who it could be once we get further in the chapter. But anyway, that was what I was that's what I wanted to say about that point, about the fact that they seem to be sipping through these cities right away. Although they might actually not be going to those cities, they might actually go into other countries as well. Those might have actually been pointed out because they're like the most important ones. Whereas we might actually get some that are less important but still important. Like we might actually go to Africa. We might actually go to we still might actually go to England. We might actually go to Russia, China as well, and other places, etc. Maybe Greece or some place like that. Who knows? But that's all I want to say. And and as they're explaining this, and as we see supplies being loaded onto the Perseus, we see Sai going. On that note, our brief time together ends. I'll remain here in India to toil our way on circuit diagrams, which I'll fax to you once I can. Before Ryusui's like, "What are you talking about, bro? You're coming with us. We're all going together." Keep that word in mind. Together. Chelsea brings up, I mean, it'd be pumped if he could come, but what gives? And Ryusu goes on to say, because he can't not keep saying like he desires this. Before, as he says, we'll probably need his math skills at each location we visit. Notice how he's saying each location, and he's not saying at the 2 remaining locations that we have to visit. So keep that in mind. That makes me think that they are going to visit different locations, not just in Indonesia and Australia. So that's kind of something you have to keep in the back of your mind there. But anyway, Sai is just freaking out. He's like, I'm not going, especially not with you, Ryusui. And he just legs it away. And he's like, every darn time Ryusui's been this way forever. He decides power, he decides everything. And to me, it's always do this side, do that side. But Sai's looking at it a different way. Ryusui's never like... As Gemma will explain later in the chat, Ryusui's never forced him to do anything. He's always said, let's do it together. Come on, I need you. He's just seeing desire as something being greedy, but it's like, but if you look at it on a deeper level, it's basically Ryusui saying, I need this. I want this, and I need it. But it's never like you're going to give it to me, whether you like it or not. It's always been like, please give this to me. That's all the desire aspect. Like, I desire everything. It's like, please give this to me. I want to experience this because Ryusui's in this world that's basically being reset. So obviously this would be his wet dream basically. So he's like, yes, please give it to me. Please give it to me. But it's never been like, you're going to give it to me whether you like it or not. So, but Sai's obviously hearing like, I decide this, and taking it in just a surface level way. Before he says, I fled all the way to India. So how did it come to this? Before we cut over to see Francois and Ryusui obviously reviving some Indian folk, and possibly going to be explained to them what's going on, and like, hey, there's this guy on the moon that caused the petrification. I know it's crazy, just go with it, but we're in the stone world now, we're going to build a spaceship. I know it's crazy, just go along with it, and we're going to go to the moon to confront this guy and basically get the world back to the way it was. And the people of India will be like, well, you did revive us, so okay, let's just go with it, crazy Japanese man. Senku goes on to explain that it's hard matching up the timing between the input side and the printed side. Anything less than perfect means errors, obviously, so it has to be exact to the perfection, because any slight wrongdoing can cause an error, and printers are known for giving like ridiculous errors. Like some printers, like if you run out of black ink, it's like no, or colour ink. If you run out of just one particular ink, it's basically saying like you're out of ink completely, and that can be a little frustrating for some computers. But anyway, continuing on, he says that results in a screwed up image on the other side. Yes, we've all had that moment where the printer gets jammed and it's just like the image is just completely screwed up. Before Chrome says something is coming in from the Corn City team as we get the captured true fax machine acquired, and we see Taiju Yusuria, Ukio Joel, Luna, Max. Let's see. Luna, Max. Can't see Carlos there, but. Yeah, that's pretty. Oh, and Brody. Brody's there as well. So yeah, pretty good image that came out there from the fax machine as we see it being put up in India. And Chelsea goes a group photo, and again it's like to mark the occasion. Looks like everyone joined the phone for both Team Japan and Team USA. And yeah, that would be cool. Except we can't see. Oh wait, is Hyoga there? Okay, that's someone's arm lifting up. I thought that was Yoga, like with his long cloak, but no, it's someone's arm being lifted up. But it's a pretty substantial amount. Even the background extras are like, yeah, okay, we're on board. We're on board with this plan. But anyway, going back to what Chelsea said about the group photo, this triggers a memory in both Sai and Ryusui as we get shadowy silhouettes and Gens off to the side. Like, I get the feeling something's wrong here. I have to talk to them about this. I have to talk to them about this. I have to find out what is going on because Gen is kind of the nosy person in that regard, but at the same time, he's not nosy enough to actually just go up to him and be like, "Hey, what was up with that? Why did you say? Why were you that with group photos like that phrase? Why did that trigger a nerve in you guys?" He's not like he's gotta give again credit where credit is due. Being a mentalist, he knows when it's appropriate to actually like talk about these things. As he says here, this is the perfect chance for a question or two. Time to dig up some history on dear Ryusui and Sai. Something about that photo triggered a reaction in them. No, this isn't the topic to be poking and prodding without care. A more indirect strategy perhaps. So yeah, pretty much it's like Gen could see like, okay, this is a sensitive topic to them. I can't just go be like, hey, why did that trigger a nerve in you guys? But Chelsea, being the blunt person that she is just like, what's the deal with you and group photos? And I say the nanami bros should get along. With what you got against being together side. This just freaks him out. But he's like, okay, I will talk to you guys. So we have Chelsea, Gen, and Sai just sitting down as Sai starts to give them a little bit of history on the Nanami Corp. As he says, it just reminded me that the Nanami Corp, Ryusui and I were always left out. We were the only ones who weren't born into to the matriarch of the Nanami family. As Chelsea's like, don't get it. Your mum's not your mum, so okay. This probably means that line from Chelsea probably means that they were both born out of wedlock, and their father's their father, and he's probably because if you remember back in Ryusui's first flashback to when he was first introduced back in the building the Perseus arc, and we had the Desire flashback. It mentioned that. Okay, I'll bring it up here. I'll bring up the panel. So it was in chapter 98. So let's go to chapter 98. So here we go. So let's go a bit further. Here it is. It's when Francois goes, apologise, Master Ryusui, but your uncle was firm on this matter. Like it says it right there. Like so, there we go. That leads me to believe that their uncle is actually their uncle and their aunt is actually the leader of the Nanami Corp. That would make perfect sense. That would make perfect sense to them. So like their uncle and aunt are the leaders of the Nanami Corp, but who probably couldn't even have children of them all, or maybe they did have children and they couldn't run the Nanami Corp. They couldn't run. Maybe they did have children and they're the true heirs to the Nanami Corp, and Ryusui and Sai are the cousins, but who were probably born out of wedlock. So maybe their father, who was the brother, who was probably the brother of the leader of the Nanami Corp. Maybe he bore them out of wedlock, and that made them be a disgrace to the family, and that's why they were kept out of the pictures, which would make perfect sense for them. Like, you see a bunch of people here. Okay, so you see a bunch of people there. So that's probably their uncle right there. But you see all these little people down here. So that's probably their cousins. So that's probably their cousins who are the true heirs to the Dynamic Corp. And maybe the fact that they were born out of wedlock, but they're still part of the Dynamic Corp means that okay, we can keep them around, but they can't be like running the company. Like they're just going to be like little branches that are just sort of off to the side. So they're still part of the family, but at the same time not really the most important members, and that would actually make a lot of sense why Ryusui's the way he is. It's like it's like the family itself didn't view him as important, so he had to like kind of like make himself important by becoming the greediest man alive, by actually doing stuff for the company himself, by working hard. And like, I desire it, so if I desire, I'm gonna make it myself. So that might be why Ryusui is the way he is. The fact that he was born out of wedlock, the family didn't really like him being around or anything like that, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna make a name for myself. If my family's not gonna let me be part of this family, I'm gonna force them. I wouldn't say force them, because he's not a forceful person. I'm gonna show them that I'm an asset to the Nanami Corp. So that's pretty interesting and pretty tragic on their part, and would make a lot of sense for their characters, not just for Ryusui but also for Sai. Why he's kind of like, I don't want to be involved with this. I don't. That would actually that actually. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back a bit. Where was it? Oh, flip. Okay, guys, okay, just bear with me. Okay, it's right here where Sai says, let me just bring it up. So I left Nanami Corp. That actually makes a lot of sense why he said that when he was feeling his backstory. That actually makes a lot of sense. Like, he was born out of wedlock, and all he could have was his talents, but because they found out he was so talented, they were gonna put him to work rather than actually spoiling him. Like, rather than actually spoiling him, they were gonna like, right, we're putting you to work, and we're gonna use your insane math skills, Sai, to work for the company, because we finally found a use for you. That actually makes a lot of sense why Sai and Ryusui are the way they are. Like, they like I said, they were born out of wedlock, and they couldn't really make a name for themselves in the Nanami Corp. And while Ryusui was kind of like saying like, I'm gonna show them that I can do this, Sai was more like, fine, whatever, I'll just do my own thing. And then they found out about it. It's like, okay, we can use it now. It's like, wait, what? No, I'm getting out of here. God, that makes a lot of sense, and that is quite tragic on their part, because some families are like that. Some families are like that, like favour other members of the family over others, and kind of makes those other family members feel left out. And this is what Ryusui is like been saying all this time. It's like, we're together in this, Sai. We were treated just as bad. If this is the case, we were treated just as badly as each other. So this is all we've got. We've got each other. And this is kind of the lesson Sai has to learn in this chapter. But anyway, continuing on, he goes on to say, Father and the whole clan forced me to focus solely on maths, modelling me into a useful, loyal soldier. Yeah, notice how he's saying that, useful, loyal soldier. So it's they kind of like were like, okay, I bored you out of wedlock, so you're gonna have to make a name for yourself in the Nanami Corp side. You two Ryusui, for your uncle to actually accept us. But Ryusui was the exact opposite. No one in the family could hope to control him. That's just how he is. Yeah, because he probably thought like, okay, since people are considering us outcasts, I'm gonna make a name for myself. I don't care what they say. I'm gonna do it, and I'm not even gonna listen to what they're saying. Before he goes on to say, before we get more of the flashback by Ryusui going, Sai, I desire your power, which again, like I said, this is probably like Ryusui saying, Sai, please help me with this stuff. But Ryusui doesn't know how to actually say it like that. All he knows is desire and power. Probably getting a bad influence from the uncle himself, but using it in a more positive light. But Sai's only seeing it as like, no, you decided to control me. I am not gonna accept that. Ryusui says, let's calculate the cause of resistance. Help me. Okay, he says help me there. Help me analyze the game's ring top. But Sai's like, no, you just wanna use me. But no, it's actually a deeper meaning that as again is gonna figure out right now. as Sai goes on, says, Ryuzui only thought about how to exploit other people. And he's like, I'm not a human calculator. Before we get the saddest, probably the saddest part of the flashback, where it's like, Ryusui's coming in with a chessboard. He's like, help me whip my chess skills into shape, Sai. Let's play together. But he notices that Sai's not there. And he's like, bro, where did you go? He has that face on, he has that, like, face of, like, just sheer, utter distress of, like, where are you, Sai? It's just like, oh, that just hits you in the feels right there. Like, all Ryuzui wanted was just to spend time with his brother, not use him in any forceful way. But Sai couldn't actually see it beyond the surface of, like, he just wants power and he just wants to control me. So, and Sai, as we see him flying off on a plane to India, I feel like he's kind of like a little bit like, was it wise for me to leave Ryuzui there all on his own? He kind of has that look on his face like, did I do the right thing? After finishing his backstory, Charles is like, so bad, sorry, bad manners. But you two, that story is just all stingy. And she's like, what? And Sai's like, what? Stirring? Weren't you listening? Ryusui is nothing but selfish. He uses people, and yes, he uses people, but he uses them because he knows that they are capable of said things, and he knows that they are capable of great amazing things. And this is where Gen actually explains to Sai, like, you've got your brother completely wrong, Sai. He just wanted to spend time together with you. That is my read of the situation. He decides anything and everything, does he not? Including a brother in that truest sense. So basically, again saying, like, to Sai, like, look, Ryusui just wants to spend time with you. That's because he knows how skilled you are and how amazing you are. And he's saying, let's do these things together. Let's do these amazing things together so that we can both be happy. That's what Gen is taking away from this situation. And yeah, pretty realistic, like I've been saying, pretty realistic relationship between Ryusui and Sai. Like, Sai just seeing his brother on the surface, on the surface at certain points, but at the same time caring enough about him to stick around until he gets completely overwhelmed. It's like, I need to get out of here. But at the same time, Ryusui, it's just like, hey bro, let's go play together. Let's play a game of chess together. It'll be fun. Sai, let's build this race course. Let's build this race course together. It'll be completely fun. And Gen actually brings up, tell me, did he ever order you to do these things? And this is like a eye-opener for Sai himself. It's like, no, actually, he never ordered me to do anything. It was always, let's do it together. I desire you. I need your help. That's kind of like the big eye-opener for Sai in this chapter. As we cut tonight and we see Sai just sitting in his hut and he's reminiscing on Ryusui's time together, Ryusui's childhood. And he's like, let's build a race course together. This time, let's build a sailing ship together. So he's always saying, like, it. So he's now, Sai's kind of like getting his eyes open and thinking, like, my brother's always said, we've got to do this together. Got to do this together. Got to do this together. And this is where we get him reminiscing on Ryusui saying, we're shipping out together. So it's like Ryusui wants his brother to come around the world with him, because who wouldn't? It's like, unless you really hate your brother. But if I was in Ryusui's situation, I'd be like, I'd be saying the same thing to my brother. It's like, come on, you two, let's go and explore the world. We've got nothing better to do. We've got nothing better to do in the still world. So let's go and explore the world. And at the same time, my brothers are like, hey, do you want to come to this water park with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. So yeah, it's a pretty realistic situation here. Like, I can relate to that, being having brothers and a sister myself. We even though we have arguments and we're always butting heads with each other, when it comes to having fun with each other in a general sense, we'll always be like, hey, do you want to come and watch this film with me at the cinema? Hey, do you want to come and do bowling? Hey, do you want to come to a water park? We're always gonna find ways to have fun together. And that's what Ryusui wants with Sai. He just wants to have some fun together, and going around exploring the world and building a spaceship. That's the ultimate kind of fun in his eyes. Ryusui enters the hut and says, "Haha, Sai, we've got some time before we part ways. Whip my skills into shape, won't you? Let's play chess together." And Sai, it just clicks in him. It's like, "No, no, you decide my power and everything. I don't want to do it. No, no, Frank." And then Ryusui's just like, "Are you still going on about that, bro? I just want to play chess with you." And this is where Sai's like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Let's play. Let's play." As we see them having a chess game with each other, and Ryu's was like, "I would expect, as I would expect with you, Sai. When it comes to logic games like chess, you are the unbeatable master." Before we see them just like reminiscing of everything, as we get kind of like one little panel at the bottom here, where we see Sai just like running away from Ryusui and the Nanami Corp. But basically, what Ryusui is taking away from this is like, "Why are you leaving me behind, bro? Why are you basically abandoning me pretty much to be with these people who pretty much hate us?" That's pretty much what we've got from this. Like, they're born out of wedlock, so they're kind of like seen as outcasts. But eventually, it gets to a point when Sai and Ryusui's hands join up with each other, and this is where Ryusui just lets out his honest feelings. No desire or anything like that. He just lets out his honest, earnest feelings to his brother. It's like, "He'll be so bored, you know." Okay, he does say desire, but he's not saying it in a way of like forcefulness, because I keep forgetting desire is kind of like his catchphrase at this point. But anyway, he's letting out his honest feelings of being like, "I'd be so bored, you know. I desire a worthy opponent to play against on the high seas." So it's basically saying like, it's basically Ryusui saying, "It'll be so boring, you know, if I didn't have family with me on the high seas that I could enjoy this new world with." And this is where Sai's result. This is where we get Sai's response. He doesn't need to say it. He's like, "Okay, bro, you've convinced me. I'm sorry for the way I treated you, and to make up for it, I'm gonna come along with you. We're gonna decide this new world together. We're gonna create something incredible and prove to not just to us but also to the rest of the Nanu Corp that we are just as worthy, even if we weren't born into the matriarchy of the family." And that's where the chapter ends with the caption, "Sai has joined the party," as they all get on the purses and Senku looks out to the high seas. So, pretty good chapter. Amazing chapter. Probably one of the best character development chapters we've gotten in a while between characters, particularly Ryusui. Like, just amazing character development here, showing that even though he was crazy about desire everything, he wasn't doing it in a forceful way, and he kind of wanted his brother, he wanted Sai to sharing that experience, to sharing that desire and power with him, and just create something incredible. And now they're going to be creating the most incredible thing that they could ever create, a spaceship in the stone world. Now, on Shorinoji's live stream yesterday, which you should go and subscribe to his Twitch and YouTube channel. He's an amazing guy, does amazing Dr. Stone videos. They mentioned something about the matriarchy of the Nanami Corp actually being revived, and I brought up the fact that maybe that would actually lead to them actually being the villain of this arc, which would be pretty interesting to say, like, okay, mother, auntie, or whoever's in charge of the Nanami Corp, just screw you. We're better than you. We're more worthy of the Nanami name. It's kind of like reminded me of Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! How he was adopted, had a rich father, and who basically treated him like crap, and he was like, "I'm going to prove myself, and I'm going to be better than you," and he did in the end. And he was crazy as Ryusui, if not even more crazy and even more egotistical. But that would be pretty interesting if they could actually revive someone from the Nanami Corp who turns out to be the next major threat to them, and actually get some people on their side and actually capitalize on this. And Senku's like, "Yeah, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with it." Or Senku and Ryusui saying, "Yeah, we don't agree with this. We don't agree with the way you're basically turning these people into slaves, basically." Whether or not that will happen, that remains to be seen. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.